Something that was said at the beginning, perhaps even before we started recording, was Helmut was talking about use of Git at work, and during the recording, you said there's this sort of similar archival sort of approach to things. I think some sort of community of practice relating to Git and tech already exists and could perhaps be developed and strengthened. And certainly for beginners, getting beginners into Git early would make the writing of theses so much easier. And I've no idea, in all the thesis guides across the world, how to write your thesis. I don't know how well supported in the sense of providing information and that sort of thing Git is, but some sort of stable and straightforward advice for writing your thesis with TeX and Git might be worth doing.
I could imagine that. Oh, sorry. I could imagine that that's what we often do. We try to find a bright master thesis student and give him some topic like, could you modify kbc which to some open interface which can be flanged to Git, and then he would write code and think and start. And so this normally is the cheapest way to have a bright student. Yeah, so.
Yeah, I can relate some experience I have here at the University of Utah, because I happen to be the campus coordinator for the TeX and LaTeX style files, of which we have two sets, an older one that all of the rest of campus uses, and a much newer one that is currently still restricted to the mathematics department. And I've met with the people from the thesis office, and they face a very difficult job. It's a small team of people that have to read hundreds and hundreds of theses every year, covering the entire range of academia, from medicine to law to chemistry, physics, math, engineering, and so on, and try to ensure a relatively consistent style. And the reality is that most of the theses they get come from word processors, which these days really means Microsoft Word, which has largely removed the competitors from the marketplace. And they unfortunately still think in terms of typewriters and fixed numbers of lines per page and grid typesetting. And they have extraordinarily complex rules and regulations for how things should be that we have been fighting for 30 years to get them to loosen up on. And my university probably isn't alone in having rather arcane regulations. That's why I've never found it a particular interest that someone deposits a set of style files for a particular university in CTAN, because those won't be usable anywhere else. There are just too many different requirements. So I don't have any hope of theses offices being modernized to the point that they think exclusively in terms of one typesetting system and Git. I think that's just a place one could spend a lot of effort and make effectively zero progress. It's, as I say, it's a battle we fought for 30 years, and we really are not satisfied with the way things are.
I think I had in mind a different battle, if you like, which is the question of backing up security, that sort of thing. So if you use Git and you push on a regular basis to cloud Git repository, you've automatically got a series of backups, version by version by version, and you have none of this thesis 3rd of November, thesis 5th of November, thesis 7th of November, spreading across your file system. And that works as long as you're disciplined. You don't actually change the 3rd of November thing after the event. And what I'm thinking is some sort of resource that guides new users of tech into the use of GitHub, GitLab, and Git on their own machine. And Overleaf now provides GitHub integration, which is great. That's also a positive thing. Something else that can be provided is a build system in Git. So you can build your thesis in Git, in GitHub, without relying on your own machine. It's not as quick, but it sort of gives you a reproducibility and a security about everything. And that reproducibility, I think, is one of the key things. So that's a different battle to the content of the thesis, which I think was the battle that Nelson was fighting.